Hello, my name is Chris Cramphorn. I'm an associate professor in enterprise and innovation. I've also spent time as an entrepreneur, and I've worked within a number of entrepreneurial ecosystems working with high growth firms. What I'm going to talk to you about today are some of the key issues to do with um, how to grow an organization. But rather than do this in a very traditional academic way, what I want to do is just give you some simple tools, some simple ideas where this may be useful for you. So one tool that I've developed over a number of years, and this is coming out as a publication and part of a book that I'm creating, is something called the 3+1 legged stool. And this applies to organic growth, but it can apply more generally to wider sets of much more staged growth. I've worked with a number of organizations who have either been growing or it's worked with turnarounds as well. What I mean by that is organizations that are in a level of instability, not just those that are failing, it's also organizations that are facing rapid change within their environment. And what I do is I work with the leadership and the vision of the organization to start with. And that's crucial. You need to get them on board. And then from that, I work with different legs of the stool. And that's really important. If you've ever been on a stool that has legs which are unbalanced, you can very quickly fall off. And the same appears within organizations, that you need to get kind of three main legs in place. And where I usually start is making sure we've got sufficient marketing and sales, getting the organization to make sure it's getting its revenue right. So getting your orders right, getting your retention rates right, getting the right channels to market, making sure that you're engaging and supporting customers. That support is really important. Secondly, it's getting your resources right as well. Very often, it's the basics of finance. You know, getting your bills paid on time, making sure you've got that money that's coming in. It's also thinking about, okay, if we're looking for shortfalls, have we got our borrowing, our credit rating in place? But those resources also are making sure you've got the right talent, the right people in place, and that your systems are not overly bureaucratic, because that will actually stifle your ability to pivot, and it'll stifle your ability to grow. It's also about getting your data right. Data is a resource, and most organizations have a massive amount of data, but they don't know what to do with it. So using that then to inform the marketing and sales, and also wider stuff like our operations and fulfillment. And that getting that operations and fulfillment in place is absolutely important. There's a relationship between marketing resources and the order and fulfillment, because what you're trying to do is, once you've got those orders in, can you get the people in place, get the processes in place, and then can you meet those orders on time, on quality? Are you doing it as efficiently as possible so that you improve your margins? Have you got the right technologies in place? So if you're looking at something very artisan, then actually traditional tools would be right. That's your key selling point. If you're looking for a mass market, have you got the right level of automation in place? But as a crucial part of that is, have you got your supply network in? Have you got your delivery right? Have you got your raw materials right? Once you've got those three balanced, most organizations will last forever pretty much, unless you have a really, really major shock on the organization. What I then do is then look at how you can innovate that organization. That will allow us to grow the organization. And what you're looking to do is improve your processes, your people, what you offer. It's about being ready for new marketplaces and ready for new challenges. As I speak, obviously, COVID is having an impact on many organizations. But likewise, you've got issues such as Brexit that's coming through. You've got the digitization of the workforce. You've got constraints from sustainability, particularly in terms of access to water, access to raw materials. So getting those innovations in place are crucial. And what tends to happen is that very often people will concentrate too much then on the innovation and forget about the other legs of the stool. This leg of innovation cannot overbalance the rest of the stool without it actually creating a problem. And you need to get a balance between keeping those innovations in place and balancing against those other legs. So you need to have a plan to reduce disruption on the other three legs when you introduce, for example, a new product or service. Can you make sure that you've got capacity to be able to do the operations and fulfillment, that you've got the finances to be able to actually support that product in its fledgling stages, and also that you're getting the right channels to market for that initial product. Or if you're looking internally, if you've got new innovations that you're trying to put in place, that could be something that could disrupt the rest of the organization. It's about getting a balance between these, and very often people will look at one or two areas, and really you need to be getting that balance. Don't listen too much to the infighting between directors of marketing, directors of finance, directors of operations. You need to be able to balance those. Getting that leadership and vision in place is crucial. And as a leader, you need to give people a level of empowerment, but at the same time, you need to know when to control and where is the vision for the organization going. So at this point, most people would obviously, if you're looking at growing, think about can we grow in different particular ways? So in terms of market penetration in our existing marketplaces, can we just sell more of our product? It may be that we have other products or services that we want to bring in to our existing marketplace. Or, for example, it could be that there are particular products that we have that could move into new marketplaces. And I've done that, for example, working with building services firms, that they're actually introducing new products and services simply to actually expand the range of what they do, so that they can have a better level of revenue, but also as well it allows them to grow the business, because by growing into different areas, having new areas, it allows you as well to do a couple of things. First of all, be more resilient to economic shocks, but secondly as well, it allows you to then to look at wider possibilities. The last component, which is kind of this diversification, where you move out of your existing marketplace into completely new marketplaces, can be potentially high risk. But there are opportunities that come out of that, and it may be that you already have elements within the organization that are not related to your existing products and services. It could be a particular patent, it could be a particular style of doing things that can then be repackaged, and that would actually then allow you to diversify. How might you want to think about some of these areas? Well, a good thing to do is think about, okay, if I can't do it myself, could I be getting revenue from, for example, licensing out that particular patent or that intellectual property? For example, if you're looking at diversification, that's a good and easy way, and relatively a low risk way of actually getting revenue in for very little impact. Likewise, if you're looking to expand what you're doing with your existing customers, you may want to bring in new products and services. So you may want to just expand your range, but you may want to license something which is already well known. And for example, within human resources, there are existing tools such as Hofstede's disk type profiling that are now being used by recruitment agencies, where they are actually licensing those products in, because it allows them to have a much larger ability to service their customers. You may want to build a franchise. So if you look at, for example, Gerber's E-Myth book, building a franchise, having that systematic way of you expanding your network of the organization, using that to grow, could be a way of doing this. And even if you're not building that franchise, it's a good way then of thinking about, okay, if I'm opening another shop and we have a particular way of doing it, it gives you an ability to actually endow that manager with a key set of criteria, a key set of instructions, will then allow them to actually grow that business, or that component of the business. It could be, for example, you're looking to move into new marketplaces, and there may be a good fit where you might want to have an alliance or a joint venture with an organization. And this may be particularly if you're moving into that market development where you have an existing product, but you don't want to go through all the process of actually having to think about marketing, but you know an organization that fits within that area, where you can actually have a joint venture, and that could be particularly working through agencies if you're looking to export internationally, but it could be also as well be working in for example, a business arena where you're more traditionally working with business to consumer. You could be looking at takeovers, you could be looking at mergers. I've done that previously in an organization that I had, that in order to support those innovations that we were doing, we bought a pre-existing engineering firm, and we used that as a high margin way of generating additional revenue that would then allow us to support new innovations. It could be that you're facing a particular dilemma, and you may be having a problem getting to your marketplace. You might want to do a merger or do a takeover with an organization that way. Likewise, you might want to take a hold of part of your supply chain, particularly if you need to get access to specific types of components. And remember, as part of this, part of growth might be actually part selling bits of the business, so that you can then fund different areas. And if you've got something that's not particularly profitable and it's not really ideal to your organization, maybe you could be selling that on and using that then to fund what you're doing. And that really concludes what I want to talk about. What's crucial in terms of growing is understanding getting your organization ready and to be flexible for that level of growth, but also as well being able to get that balance between what new things you're doing as well as what the organization already does. And there are lots of different options to be able to grow the organization beyond simply just producing a few new products and services or just trying to get more customers on board. The ability to actually look at alternatives is a crucial skill, and being able to weigh them up, I would say, it is particularly important. And remember, all organizations have the opportunity of growing. It's whether you think it's important for your organization that growth is vital. That's an important part that comes from your own entrepreneurial vision. You may not want to be the next Elon Musk, but it may be that you want to get it to a particular size so that it's manageable and profitable.